Hello and welcome back to Buck the Trend Pod. I'm Matt Nartiv,
And I'm Steph Plesevac.
and you might notice that we are apart again. So I am back home, and obviously Steph has flown over to Texas, ready for the next block and next racing coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, hit us off.
And
This go on.
I was going to say it's been a nightmare trying to find the right time to record a podcast. So we're now 6 hours different.
Yeah, thankfully the time zone's slightly better, but we're still a little bit off in comparison to, well, if we were in the same place.
Yeah.
So yeah, hit us off. So we've just come back, or I've just come back and you've gone somewhere else, but we've just come back from 70.3 Oceanside. So first race of the season, Steph.
Yeah.
I suppose, yeah, let's talk us through the race first. Not how it went. I just want to know swim, bike, run. Talk us through it.
Yeah. Okay. So we had our pro briefing the day before, and we were warned that it was likely that the swim was either going to be shortened or cancelled. For those that don't know, Oceanside is a super cold swim. So it's usually about 15 degrees Celsius water temperature, and air temperature is like 8 to 10 in the morning. So it's really, really cold. But they'd had a storm. So water temperature the day before the race was like 13.4 degrees, and air temperature in the mornings had been like 7. So it was essentially too cold and not safe to swim. So when we turned up on Saturday morning, we didn't know if we were swimming, if it was going to be a shortened swim, or if we were going to do the whole race. So night before, we prepped for all three mentally more than anything. Like, it doesn't really change much when you get that much notice, but you prepare yourself for the fact that you could be doing a duathlon rather than a full triathlon. It was cold race morning. So like everybody was there in like puffer jackets on top of wetsuits and all sorts, just to try and keep a little bit of body temperature in. And it was an in-water start for professionals, which was good. I don't tend to do a swim warm-up, but when the water's cold, I like to get in so that you kind of get rid of the cold water shock on the start line. So we got in. I didn't get in until the pro men went off, so I was in the water for like 5 minutes before the race. Got in, like swam out, laid on my back, did some like deep breathing exercises to try and calm down a little bit because it was quite cold, and then got myself lined up. I chose to line up on the other side, so everyone had kind of like hung out near the left-hand buoy. I headed over out towards the right-hand buoy, and next thing I knew, everyone was around me, which is not something I enjoy. I much prefer kind of starting swims on my own and having my own space. So it was like two of my least favorite things in there. It was a cold water and it was a busy start with lots of people around me. The swim itself, it was really simple. So the harbour's super flat. There's no wash or no kind of waves inside the harbour. Really easy to sight. It's just a couple of straight lines. As soon as you get out towards the harbour wall, it gets a bit wavy, but you're only swimming against it for about 50 meters before you turn, and then you're swimming back into the sunset, like the sunrise. So it's quite hard to sight. Getting out of the water, I couldn't feel my feet. It was like running on sticks. And there was just, no feeling, and the ground is really, really hard. So made for a bit of an interesting run through T1, and my calves were not particularly happy, but I did choose to put on socks for that reason. I just couldn't put them on because I couldn't feel them. I think just like the end of my sock was like flopping off. I was like, oh no, I need to get it on properly. And then when I got out onto the bike, I couldn't put my feet in my shoes, and because I couldn't feel like where the opening to the shoe was, because there was just no sensations there whatsoever. And I obviously fell off at Indian Wells doing something very similar, so I didn't want to crash, so I was very cautious through that point, because the briefing I'd had from both Matt and my parents was, please don't crash today.
Yeah, and like you say, just rounded off the swim. So you came out in 26 minutes 12 seconds with the fastest swim of the morning for the females.
Yeah. I thought you didn't want me to say how I did. You just wanted me to talk through the race.
Oh, top of the race. I'm just butting in.
You're banging, so fine. And then, so got out on the bike, and I lost a little bit of time in transition because I put my socks on, and then I was slow getting my feet in my shoes. But Jackie Herring rode past, and I was like, you know what? If I'm running with Jackie Herring, that's not really the end of the world. it's not even close to being the end of the world. It's actually fantastic. So I knew that I was close to the front, but wasn't at the front of the field. And out onto the bike course, the roads are bad. They're like UK roads in terms of the volume of potholes and how bumpy they are. Like, it's not, when we were in Chattanooga, the 70.3 course is stunningly beautiful. The tarmac is like perfect, but and like super fast. Whereas here, it's really bumpy. There are a lot of potholes. I lost one of my big bottles with half my fueling in, like 8 kilometers in, because I hit a pothole as I was overtaking Paula. It's like squeezed between Paula and the motorbike. Hit a pothole or a bump, I'm not really sure, and my bottle just disappeared off the back. And I tied it in as well, so it was quite a big bump.
So obviously a lot of this bike course was on the military base.
Yeah.
Is that where mainly the potholes were?
Yes. So apparently they just don't resurface their roads because they have to pay for it. So yeah, it's a lot of, you can't ride the course before race day. I think 80% of it is through the military base. So yeah, they were the worst bits of tarmac, but also some of the best when you're kind of up at the far end, and it's clearly they don't use it quite so much. But yeah, it got bumpy, and after a while, bumpy roads, like, because I think chip seal's okay because you know it's there, but potholes you're just kind of like, I'm done with you now. I'm annoyed.
Yeah, and especially with low light in the morning. Obviously, if you've got the sun in your eyes, it can be quite difficult to spot these potholes and the shadows. So.
Yeah, and obviously Valencia last year, I broke my wheel on a pothole, so I was quite keen not to do that again. But yeah, so I spent the first half of the bike riding with Paula and Jackie and Grace Alexander as well, which was awesome and felt really comfortable. I was super relaxed, like not stressed at all, which was awesome, and some more good practice with Race Ranger because I don't often get to ride in a group. But as soon as I hit the hills, like, I don't know if it was the cold weather or the fact that I'm carrying a bit of fatigue because we're obviously training for Texas, but my legs just, my like threshold felt a lot lower than it would normally. And they were screaming at me much earlier than I thought they would be in terms of like the power that I needed to put out. So I just couldn't hit the higher numbers I needed to stick on the wheels up the hills.
And I think, like you said you lost your bottle. There was probably about 170 grams of carbs in that bottle. So quite a lot of your nutrition was in that. I don't know how much of it you had within 8K. I don't know if you even had any of it.
None. So I went from having, the planning to have 100 grams of carbs an hour to actually having like 45.
Okay. So yeah, considerably a lot less than you'd planned, which is probably where the back end of the bike showed.
Yeah, back end of the bike and the run. So I knew I had to be careful on the bike with my effort because I didn't have the carbs to fuel it. And I was picking up sodium on the way around from aid stations, but I knew that I really struggle with the Morton products. And I have to run on them obviously after the bike, and my stomach doesn't really, it's a bit sensitive, so it was kind of tossing up, like, do I take on the carbs and risk what might happen, or do I trust that actually I know my fat max is quite good and I can ride at a relatively high level without fueling, and I know I've got gels waiting for me in T2. And so that's the call that I made on the day. I think instead of making a different decision, I'd have prepped differently. So I'd have loaded the carbs in my front bottle a little bit more, and had extra gels in T2 as a just in case. So like I took all my gels on the run, which is great, but I probably could have like smashed back another 2 quite early on just to try and catch up from what happened on the bike. So yeah, coming off the bike in T2, like I rode all right. It was fine. It didn't feel particularly hard, but I couldn't ride any harder. So it's just like, okay, well, this is where we're at today. That's totally fine. And then started running. And again, we had quite a long run through transition with the bike and on the concrete, and my calves just cramped because you're barefoot, which is different running. So I run much more like I used to run, so on my toes when I'm barefoot. And my calves haven't loaded like that for a while because obviously we've finished our run. So I once put my carbon shoes and started running, it was just cramp all down the back of my leg, both sides. So yeah, took a bit of time to get going, took on a gel, took on lots of sodium, and managed to rally and I was just moving. I was moving all right. And that was fine. Like I was able to just keep going. There are some short, sharp inclines on the course as you like basically go from beach level to road level, and they were hell because on the flat it's easy to manage your effort, but up those hills you had to ask a lot of your muscles to get them up there, and my muscles weren't willing to give it. So yeah, I was cramping every time I was going uphill. Which was fun and made for some funny videos because I'm like absolutely fine, like moving up it, and then all of a sudden my leg will just give way, and it looks like I don't know, been hit by a bat or shot by a sniper.
So,
But yeah, it was okay.
So what do you put that down to? Salt, sodium, or is it down to
I
fueling, or a mix of everything?
I think it's a mix of everything. Like it's the repercussions of not having the fuel that I needed on the bike. And also it's the first race of the season. Maybe like my muscles were just not quite, well, they're not going to be conditioned for that just yet. And the cold weather in the morning means that your muscles, like they're a little bit more tense than normal. And also the run through I think it must have been about in total a K and a half of running across both transitions barefoot on concrete, which is not something I ever do. So it was just, yeah, a combination of all of those things meant that I was experiencing quite a lot of cramp, but it didn't get worse through the run, which is for me like a huge positive because usually, however I start the run, I get worse.
Yeah.
Just with regards to like my run efficiency being poor, so I just always get more tired and I get more hot and I get like more fatigued and I get a cramp more and all sorts. Whereas on this one, like the first K was the worst kilometer, and then I was able to just kind of rally and find the effort level that I was able to put out, and it didn't feel so awful. The last 2 kilometers was really, really hard, and I was ready to be finished, but that's okay. I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, running on the flat, you're actually at times look like you're running pretty well. So hopefully, there's something there that when it comes together, you can put out a good race.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I said going in, like we weren't going to have any miracles, and I was very relaxed about that. Like this was always a case of we're racing early April, we're doing an Ironman 3 weeks later. I just didn't want an Ironman to be my first race of the season, so we're just going to go and see what we've got. Yeah. And that's what I had, and I'm so completely at peace with that.
Yeah,
so.
No, and I think that's great. And like I say, if anything, we're starting the year better than we did last year in terms of our first Pro Series race. Not that you were going for it or anything, but the Pro Series race last year was Mallorca, and I think you were 20 minutes down from the front. I think this one when you were, was it 15? So we're already, in terms of points, in a lot better position than we were last year. So that's a good start to the year, I'd say. Solid result. Nothing special. Nothing we kind of didn't expect too much. But yeah, really solid race all around. Pretty otherwise.
Yeah, and then there's always the fun learnings that you seem to forget through off season, like chafing in salt water. So I covered my neck in like Body Glide, and it mostly worked. I do have like a little bit of chafe on, like just clearly I don't know if my swim hat rubbed it off or something, but like all down underneath my arms from like the salt water and then being on the bike and swimming, and it's just so sore. And they're the things that you forget about race day, that you just end up getting random chafing in random places that you completely forgot. So
well, at least you now know for Texas in, what are we now, 2.5 weeks?
Yeah, and it's not a saltwater swim, so
no wet. Well, potentially no wetsuit. It'll be
probably no wetsuit.
Swim skin.
Yeah. So it's going to be polar opposite climate racing here. Yeah. So Oceanside was cold and not humid at all. It's very dry. Whereas I mean, I say that the day that I arrived in Texas, it was colder than it had been in Oceanside, but it's warming up again now. Today, I think it hit like 28 degrees, which I've just run in it, which is why my face is quite red. It felt hot. But I know I've done 4 weeks in Lanzarote across the last couple of months, but um, this felt like quite a different heat. So yeah, it will be hopefully some acclimatization over the next 2.5 weeks. If not, I'll certainly get to know the effort level that I'm going to be able to put out in Texas,
Yeah,
which is that's like the most important thing. How hard can I try to get across the finish line?
yeah, and I think that's it, isn't it? Similarly to Kona, it's you've measured your effort for the conditions.
Yeah.
Um, it may be better suited to the cooler conditions, and you can push even harder in the cooler conditions. But like I say, we're trying to work that out in the heat. So yeah, the 2.5 weeks to sort of get your body a bit more accustomed to it,
And work on my tan. That's really important too. So
if you say so.
I've been swimming and hot tubbing every day, which is like a wonderful life. I'm so thrilled.
Yeah, and before we move on to this sort of next patch of training, obviously overall good race. You're a rate out of 10.
As in like the race itself or my performance?
Let's go your performance.
Okay, my performance, like I was saying on the day, it was like a B if you were looking at like grading. So
Okay.
what would that be? Like 6 out of 10. Um, I can't fault my execution. Like the process goals, we absolutely nailed. I did everything I needed to do, responding to what was going on around me. Didn't get a penalty, which was great. Like all of the thing, and executed the fastest swim, which I'm really, really pleased with. It was just my body didn't pull up to where we wanted it to for
Yeah.
race day,
Uh,
but I would much rather a B in Oceanside and an A in Texas than the other way around.
yeah, and I think it would be really easy to sort of drop out when things are going not your way and a bit tougher. So I think just being able to grit out these results is kind of good. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're gonna go to the well, then probably not with a race coming up in 2-3 weeks. But if you're actually okay and you can actually get through it, I think it's sort of sometimes worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, so for me, there was no reason for me not to finish. I knew I wasn't injured. It was just my muscles were cramping. And no, like I know sometimes cramp means some more serious and sinister muscle tears, but I knew it wasn't that. Like I had a very like obvious reason as to why I was cramping. I hadn't had enough sodium or carbs. So for me, it was like, well, I just need to put some fuel back in, and I'll be okay. And I was, so that was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. And I think it's just understanding that. So yeah, well done. Good first race of the season.
Thanks,
Tick.
Matt. Well done to you too, because you didn't stress out massively on race day, which is always good.
No stress on my side at all. As ever.
Cool, calm, and collected.
You know me. So yeah, first race ticked off. So now obviously I've come home. You've flown out to Texas to get ready for it. So what have the last sort of few days looked like? Obviously you've been in recovery after the race, I guess.
Yeah, so Sunday was the day that I travelled over here, and we went for a swim on the way to the airport just to like move and get the blood flowing again and try to encourage a little bit of recovery. I think especially over the half distance, when you're training for a full, you can like you can do something the next day without it completely depleting you. Monday was the day for me to get situated here, and Yana was going for a swim, so I'm staying with Yana Ritrova, aka Check Chick on Instagram, and he was going for a swim, so I went along to see the like most unbelievable gym that, or it's a country club. Like in the UK, it would be a country club with exclusive membership that there's no chance in hell we would ever be able to afford.
Uh,
But here, it's just the nice gym in the area. Like it's amazing.
only,
They
only the best for Yana.
only the best for Yana. But they've got 2 outdoor pools, 1 indoor pool, and then like gym, etc., etc. And yeah, it's fabulous. So went there on Monday to do a little bit of swimming, a little bit of hot tubbing because heat prep, and also why not? I want to sit in a hot tub. I've got nothing else to do. Tuesday, I went for a swim in the morning. And what's really fab about coming straight from Oceanside here is that there are other people that have done it too. So Patrick Langer flew out on Monday, so swam with him and rode with him and Rusty on Tuesday. And as we were leaving the pool, the Norwegian trio turned up. So Casper, Christian, and Gustav arrived. And they're also here. So they swam, I say with them this morning. I got into Christian's lane this morning and provided a little bit of company. But yeah, so it's just quite, it feels like we're all on a bit of a weird training camp together, prepping for the same race and suffering in the heat. So yeah, it's a fun place to be at the moment. I'm really enjoying it.
Didn't do a Norwegian threshold set then?
Oh, I joined in. So I just done my warm up. So I was feeling very fresh. And like in America, you don't share lanes. And if you do, it's with one other person. Like, it's very weird. And like, I just think back to UK, I'm like fighting my way around a lane of 12 people. And here it's like, oh, no, there's 2 of you, so that's fine. So Christian and Casper were going off together first, and then Gustav was on his own, and he was like, do you want to do 5 100s with me? And I was like, okay, sure. So I just joined in at the 10 end of their main set, which made me feel really good because they were tired and I was really fresh. So that was like nice confidence boost.
And you didn't have to put your fins on?
I didn't need to put my fins on, no fins today. Actual just normal swimming, keeping up with them.
Good. So at least you've got some good company out there.
Yeah, some good company, some fast feet to follow, and lots of people that know the roads around here really well, which helps massively with cycling. Cycling in the US is probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done.
Go on. There's more. Why?
Because big cars, fast driving, but also, so like in the UK, if it's a fast road with a hard shoulder, you don't ride on it. Like, we go on the country lanes. That's like our home. That's where we spend our time. Here, if there's not a hard shoulder, you don't ride on the road. So the safest place to be is actually these big roads with big hard shoulders. But that also means that you've got cars driving really fast. So it's basically the complete opposite to what I'm used to, and is therefore quite terrifying. Because I'm used to slower speed limits, but like cars getting stuck behind me. Whereas here it's like, no, the cars won't slow down, but you've got your own lane. So yeah, it's finding the right roads and riding at the right time is a different experience.
Yeah, a lot more volume of traffic in America, I always find.
Yeah, lots more cars. But yeah, had a nice ride yesterday. Actually felt quite good, which is good because last time we did a race 3 weeks out. So it was Girardmer in France, 3 weeks out from Chattanooga last year, and I really wasn't very well. Like not ill like a cold or a stomach bug, but fatigue levels were absolutely enormous. And I just didn't recover, did I? Like, I went into it quite fatigued and I just didn't pull up. There was like, I was napping for multiple hours every day, which is just not a thing that I have ever been able to do because my brain doesn't shut up. And yeah. I
was going to say the best way to describe it is you got into a bit of a hole, didn't you? And kind of couldn't really crawl out of it in enough time before the race.
No. So I had to have a week off training. I think we realised that we were in quite a bad spot. It was a week after Girardmer where you actually should be feeling better. And I went for a run and my heart rate was so high. Like, I think I was running 40 seconds per kilometre slower for a heart rate that was 15 beats higher. And we were like, okay, this isn't okay. And went and got some blood tests and we think it was low iron levels. So I've been taking my iron, making sure I'm eating lots of green vegetables and fueling well and all that sort of stuff. But okay, top tip, if you're a female athlete, you probably almost certainly need to be supplementing iron. I did loads of research back in September because I was like, I have a really balanced diet and I eat well and I do eat a lot of green veg. So why am I deficient? We need 10 times the amount of a sedentary male, which is what the like recommended daily amount is based on. So we do need an inordinate amount of iron. However, you can't just like double up on normal iron supplements because they tend to have other vitamins in with them, and taking too much of those vitamins can be bad. So number one, research iron supplements. Number two, if you drink coffee, it stops you absorbing iron. So I take my iron in the evenings because I don't drink coffee after 2 p.m. So it means that like there's no implication. Dairy also inhibits the absorption of iron. So if you are supplementing iron, you have to be so careful with what it is that you're taking it with, because some things will just stop you absorbing it.
Number 3,
What's number 3?
vitamin C helps you absorb iron, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So what I use is I've got like they're sachets. They're not tablets. Sachets that are iron mixed with apple juice, which is great because that's the vitamin C from the apple juice, and it also just makes it taste a bit less grim. And then liquid iron, which absorbs better.
So yeah, check your iron.
Check your iron, and if you're experiencing like unusual fatigue, especially as a female athlete, it is likely that. And chances are you won't be getting enough because we need loads, and no one told us.
Yeah, so moving on to, like I say, Texas now. You've got 2.5 weeks. So we've had a little chat through the training. You've probably got a little bit more training before the taper sort of begins.
Yeah. So I've got 8 days. I think, well, we're looking at 8 to 10 days, depending on how hot it gets, because that will be the determining factor. So if it gets super hot, which it might, I'll probably have to start taper early just to kind of prevent too much fatigue building up. But I've had a few easy days, and then tomorrow we start to like kick it back up again. So it's a swim and a 3-hour ride. Friday is a swim and another ride. And then Saturday is a big ride with a run off, and Sunday's a really long run. Just to try and encourage the body to acclimatize, but also get a little bit more of a training benefit, which is good. I'm feeling excited for that, which is nice and usually means that I'm on track to being recovered, because I think if you're worried about the execution of a session, you're almost certainly too tired to execute it.
So we will probably do a bit of a breakdown of the start list once we get it. But it sounds like we're probably going to have an even bigger start list again.
Yes.
Possibly essentially a world championship level start list, minus the likes of Laura Phillip maybe, and maybe Lucy. I mean, they're not confirmed. They might be racing. I don't know, but it doesn't sound like they are. But you've still got the likes, like I say, Taylor Knibb, Kat Matthews, Chelsea Sodaro, Tamara Dewitt's doing her first Ironman.
Yeah, Penny Slater's coming across. Alice Alberts is doing it. We think Danny Lewis is doing it. So, there are some really, really phenomenal athletes that are on the start list, or we've heard are on the start list.
Yeah, as well as the likes of Lottie Wilms, Julia Mola, which make it very exciting because there's potentially a big front pack. Whether that strings out and it is just a big pack, we don't know, but kind of makes the race really exciting from, like I say, from my side of the fence watching, and to see who can kind of get in that swim pack and do some damage on the bike, because I'm pretty sure Taylor will be, and I'm pretty sure Kat's up for it.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a really exciting opportunity to get to line up against these women outside of a world champs, and just to see like how they prepare, how they go about things, and also like practicing in conditions that are pretty similar to Kona. Like, it won't quite be as extreme, but it's much more extreme than I would normally race an Ironman in. So by the end of the week, we're going to be above 30 degrees air temperature, and I think 60% humidity isn't unusual. Kona is typically 32 degrees and about 80. So we're getting similar, and it will be good to like just encourage my body to relax into it and be like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. So yeah, that's exciting, and that's all to come in the next 2.5 weeks. So we'll do a bit more of a breakdown of the race as we get to it. This was more a breakdown of Oceanside. So I guess my question to you is, would you do Oceanside again?
Yeah, and this actually relates to a question that we did get asked around the road quality. Um, so I think it would be great if Ironman, because the question was, should they do anything about the roads? Is it Ironman's responsibility, or is it just part of the race? The roads are getting to borderline dangerous. So it's not that they were just rough. There were big holes, which causes crashes. And I actually snapped a bolt in my front end, which isn't ideal and is slightly concerning. So I think they were borderline dangerous. And if you think of another year of military traffic using those roads, it probably would tip it the other way. So no, I don't think it is part of the racing. If it was chip seal, I'd say, yeah, fine, part of the racing. This wasn't just rough roads. These are potholes and dangerous and debris. But yeah, I would do Oceanside again. I absolutely love the place. I think it's a phenomenal town. It's really easy to get to. Fly into San Diego and drive for 40 minutes. And you're at the race start, which is awesome and way better than flying into LA. And yeah, like the swim was, yes, it was cold and it was unpleasant, but it wasn't enough to stop me wanting to do it again. I think you just have to manage your expectations because everyone's bodies pull up differently when they get that cold.
Yeah.
And I was able to warm up. I know some athletes weren't, but I was, so that was fine. Yeah, so I'd do it again.
And I think it definitely gets easier the more you do of these, like, because you can't ride the bike course. So I think Paula, for instance, said she'd done it 7 times. So she'd done enough course recce's to know the course. And that became obvious when you could see, I think she overtook you on one of the corners because she probably wanted the faster line or something. And it became obvious of the experience there in those sections, and where the hills came in and things like that. So I think having done it once definitely sets you up for another go. And also just, I quite enjoyed the vibes of sort of Southern California. In the evenings, people were just on the beach, going for a surf, having a good time in the sunshine. So it was quite a nice sort of laid out, relaxed vibe, I thought.
Yeah, and we saw dolphins.
Pretty much every day.
Yeah, which was really fun. I love seeing dolphins from the beach. It does make me scared though, because we swim in that sea, and then if there are dolphins, there are sharks. But I did try not to think about that.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think about it, but I didn't swim in the sea. So
yeah, you didn't get in the sea.
So yeah, that wraps up Oceanside. Like I say, good race, good, really, really solid start to the season. And now on to the next one. So I don't know if we've got any what the buck moments of the week. I've probably got loads, but I can't think of any in my head right now.
Yeah, I think shout out to, I mean, it's hard to shout out one of the best athletes on the planet, but Christian Blumenfeld running a 67 half marathon off the bike was a bit outrageous. However, overshadowed by the fact that he had a puncture that he couldn't sort out. So he was a long way back.
Yeah. And he didn't carry any spares. So
yeah, carry your spares, then you can sort your puncture. But yeah, I mean, it's like, that's fast. That's really, really quick. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was good to see Lionel back on the podium. Well, I'd say back on the podium, winning her again.
And Gustav on the podium. I think we all love to see that. Because he's had a tough couple of years. So yeah.
Just quickly to round up the women's podium, because you had a fellow Ventum athlete in third.
Yeah, Danny ran herself into third, which was awesome. I think she had quite a tough swim, but obviously she rode really fast because the Ventum's really fast. But she rode brilliantly and then ran really, really well. So yeah, super cool to see her come through on the run and get up onto the podium. And
then with Jackie Heron in second and Paula Finley first. So yeah, that rounds that one out. I think we've got a bit of racing this weekend. I think it's Ironman 70.3 Brazil, is it?
Yes. But I think that's it.
I haven't really looked through the start list too much. Obviously, we know 2 people on the start list, well, more than 2, but definitely 2 on the start list, who we'd like to see go well.
We would. I did so. Caitlin Alexander and Brian Yamas. However, Caitlin's visa.
Yeah, I did see that. So
I don't know. She's had issues getting her visa so that she can fly to Brazil. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they race. If they race and they race really well, that would be great. But I don't know if they've flown. I haven't had a look today.
Yeah. Other bits of racing this weekend. There is actually the university boat race. So Oxford versus Cambridge.
Oh, is that this weekend?
It is this weekend.
Who's going to win, Matt?
My money's on, I think, probably a Cambridge sweep. I think it will be closer than I thought it was going to be 6 months ago when they first the crew started training together. But I think Cambridge are probably just going to squeeze it on both the men's and the women's side.
There you go. Get your bets in now.
I haven't even got mine in yet. So yeah, I think we'll probably look to wrap it up there, Steph. I think we've gone through a nice little race debrief and how you want to target this next step in Texas, and we'll have a little bit more chat about that. I'd like to. You're going to have to pitch it to Jana as you're staying with her. So Jana is multiple Ironman world champion, multiple age groups as well, I think. It would be great to have her on the show and talk through a bit about the process of becoming world champion.
Yeah, let's do it. How do you win? How do you win in Kona in your age group?
So send us across any questions on that. I'll put a few questions out on Instagram, and you can either ask us on there, comment on our YouTube, or wherever you want. But yeah, send us some messages you'd like to ask Jana about becoming world champion, what it takes, or anything in between, and we will hopefully cover it with her. Maybe when I arrive in Texas, I think it's probably a good part.
Yeah, so it might be like a pre-race week one.
Yeah. So yeah, you pitch it to Jana. I've got the biscuits ready for her, so unless I eat them.
Yeah, we have to add penguins to the list. We had a penguin delivered today, like penguin biscuits, and Jana had her first penguin joke that are wonderfully terrible. Why are penguin shops always full?
Don't know.
Because the fish fill it.
Terrible.
And on that note,
No. I've got a quick terrible story.
Oh dear.
My buck up of the week. Whilst we were in Oceanside, I stupidly went to wash our clothes, and what did I do, Steph?
You put them in the tumble dryer
with the washing stuff, and yeah, turns out it was a tumble dryer.
They got really hot.
Thankfully, I don't think anything shrunk. Just very hot, so I had to then rewash it. So that was my buck up of the week. So always check that it's a washing machine and not a tumble dryer.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
So yeah, no, we'll sign off there. But yeah, thanks again for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.